93, Auburn University Marching Band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. The 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage with the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Well, the game is done. The Auburn Tigers are victorious over the Jackson State Tigers, Auburn men's basketball, that is. This is our post-game reaction show. We're going to talk about the score, the stats, and the storylines. And there are plenty of them, believe it or not. Let's get into all those different things right now. War Eagle, everybody, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and discuss the Auburn experience, all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing this very late evening. For those of you that are watching the live portion, live reaction, Auburn versus Jackson State men's basketball. 112-66. Let me repeat that again. 112-66. Doubling them up. Not almost doubling them up. I guess I'd be a little bit more clear. It looks like it was a doubling up. It's enough. How about that? It is enough from the Auburn Tigers this evening to take down the Jackson State Tigers. We are going to talk about, obviously, the stats, team and individual, and storylines throughout the entire night. And we would like, obviously, to get some of your commentary worked in as best as appropriate during our conversation today. First, we want to acknowledge our sponsor for this particular broadcast, barnersupply.com. Make sure you visit them, not just for the holiday season coming up, for your favorite Barner out there, but all year long. You can check them out with links that'll be in our description. If you're watching on the different social media platforms, you'll see a link there. Make sure you go shop with them. We're proud to be partnering with them for this particular broadcast and this post-game show. They are typically our sponsors for Auburn Family Night. Tonight, they are so gracious to step up into this slot for our basketball post-game show. So check them out. You'll see me wearing some of their gear throughout the show. barnersupply.com. All right. So we'll just start right here. The score, 112-66, and we want to walk through the different stats and storylines tonight. Now, I came prepared with some thoughts and some opinions and things like that, and then that got flipped on its head here in the final 4 minutes of play by one Simon Walker. So I'd like to just go ahead and ask, even though I see so many of you already posting it, who is your player of the game? I think part of me would say this is a little unfair to just give this out at the end of the game, but wow, what an end to the game. I mean, everybody in our live chat right now is talking about it right now. Simon Walker goes 5 for 5. Let me repeat that again. 5 for 5. Actually, let me back up and make sure I get that correct. I got to double check all of this stuff. 5 for 5 from the field, all of them 3-pointers, 15 points in 7 minutes of play. Think about that. He's averaging 2 3-pointers a minute there. That's wild. Hello, Simon Walker. I believe that's our first opportunity to see him. He has been hampered by a injury that got aggravated and re-aggravated during practices, and we thought we might see him tonight. I think a lot of people had in their heads that they'd see him a little bit earlier, and that might have been the case, but the fact of the matter is, wow, come in and take advantage of it. Simon Walker, so many of you have already given him the shout outs that he very, very much deserves about player of the game. And I mean, just, I couldn't agree more about just how exciting it was to watch him. He couldn't even hit the rim. This is a great point from Fielder's Choice right there. That point was made on the broadcast this evening. So I wanted to start there, because how do we not open our conversation this evening with acknowledging Simon Walker. I think if we're getting away from the emotional side of this, like the good emotions of this, we can all look and probably see there's some other guys that are really strong candidates for official players of the game. But when you come in for 7 minutes and go 5 for 5 from the 3-point arc, all of your shots are 3-pointers, and you get 15 points in a matter of 7 minutes, an assist as well. I mean, what else do you want to say? What else do you want to say this evening? Let me pull it back a little bit from the individual stats. We'll head back into it, and certainly you guys can post some commentary about the individuals tonight that you want to talk about. But this is what you're supposed to do, right? These are one of those teams that you schedule, no matter how great you want your non-conference to be, where you're supposed to handle business, take care of it, and just look exactly like this. This is one of those where you're hoping it's boring, and it was boring pretty much. I forget when I stopped closely paying attention other than when Auburn was on offense, just to be completely honest with you this evening. But this is really the biggest takeaway right here. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to look against this type of opponent, especially at home with that winning streak that you have. It's exactly what the doctor ordered. WT pointing out, hitting 112 tonight, the century mark is something that also that's kind of another one of those boxes you check on in terms of how you want to look and feel in this moment, in this particular matchup. Okay, let's go back through our individual stats and talk about it a little bit here. Your starters this evening, remember Keyshawn Hall out for an non-specified time with that foot and ankle lateral foot and ankle injury. I think I'm mixing things up. Pettiford, Overton, Murphy, Freeman, Williams, Adams are your starters tonight. Here are your leading scorers. We'll go in order. It'll help us talk about it. Keyshawn Murphy. Outside of Mr. Simon Walker, who we've already addressed, we'll come back to him. He is probably the guy that you look when you look for most points, things like that. This is someone that I always, when I was asked the question, would answer, who are you most excited to see play? It was Keyshawn Murphy, because there's something about playing in the SEC, having that experience coming over Mississippi State that I would really value in him. And once again, like the team looking like you're supposed to look like he looked like he's supposed to against that type of, no offense, talent at Jackson State compared to Auburn in the SEC. 19 points, 8 for 11 from the field. Keyshawn Murphy he shot 3 3-pointers. I thought he made one. Maybe they changed that. He's 3 of 5 from his free throws, 7 rebounds tonight, only 1 turnover, 1 personal foul in 20 minutes of play. I thought he was outstanding and did a really good job. To me, his stat line is pretty impressive. Already there just with the leading scorer to be player of the game. Your next leading scorer, Philip Jovic. How about that? Jovic. I'm going to get it down at some points, how to actually pronounce it on this stream. It'll take me a little while, but I'll get it. A lot of fans have been concerned about how he would fit, his adjusting to the game. And once again, I've been trying to tell people that you're just reacting emotionally to things, that you're not keeping things in context. Just give the boy some time. He looked outstanding tonight. And this comes too from his head coach in the preview press conference that Stephen Pearl did for this game, that how much he needed guys like Philip to step up in the wake of Keyshawn Hall being down. So Philip tonight, 18 points, 8 for 10 from the field. Only shoots 1 3-pointer, doesn't make it. He's 2 for 2 on free throws. He has 3 rebounds, only 1 personal foul, 1 turnover in 23 minutes of play. A very stout stat line as well for your 1 and 2 scores on the night. So again, if Simon Walker doesn't have his flurry at the end, you're kind of talking maybe about these two main guys, which brings us to the top 3 scores, and that third in that list we've already talked about, Simon Walker. So if you're the next 2 guys we'll talk about, you're kind of thinking, really, dude, we were going to be on that list of the next leading scorers, but here we are with Simon Walker, 5 for 5 from the field, as we already talked about, all 3-pointers in 7 minutes of play, and people are still talking about him in the chat, which is deservedly so. That was exciting to see. Your next leading scorer, Elijah Freeman, Definitely as his minutes started to wane there towards the end, the excitement of him kind of waned off, but he had a great game. Elijah Freeman, 14 points, 5 for 6 from the field. I can't wait to look at some of these team stats. I think I'm going to see some good things. 2 for 3 from the 3-point arc, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. He has 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover in 22 minutes of play. That's a really good stat line right there. Not only are you in double-digit points, make all but one of your shots on the day, and that one that you missed was one of your 3-pointers, all your free throws, 6 rebounds and 5 assists. That is an impressive stat line, folks. So don't let that get lost amongst the hype of Simon Walker's flurry at the end, Keyshawn Murphy's great game that he had, and everybody else too. But that's something that you certainly want to pay attention to and look and see how the other people did. Elijah Freeman tonight did great. Kevin Overton, I thought, had an outstanding game too. 13 points for him, 3 for 6 in the field, all his free throws, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 personal fouls, no turnovers. Kevin Overton to me is that stabilizing force. And I don't mean that in the sense of like other stabilizing forces that we've had, which weren't as good of scorers. He can score. He's often been in double digits, whether that was preseason or in the actual regular season. Kevin Overton tonight rounds out your top 5 scorers who are all double-digit guys. Once again, the theme of this evening, taking care of business, doing what you're supposed to do, players doing what they're supposed to do, the team doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So there you have it. All right, the rest of your scoring tonight, let's see if we can do this in order properly because we got a lot of people to discuss here. Sebastian Williams-Adams, who also was a starter this evening with 8 points. He's 3 for 3 from the field, very efficient. 2 assists, 1 rebound, 1 3-pointer, 1 for 2 on his free throws. We have also got Caden Magwood, 6 points, and CJ Williams, who wasn't in very long, but he got 3. Meko Porum with 6, 3 for 3 for him on the day. Blake Musalik, 4 points for him today. One of those is a 3-pointer and 1 free throw, and he was all over the place defensively. He, ironically, tonight has the most fouls with 4 because he was flying all over the place, and that was one of the big talks was how much he was just, in people's faces. That's the reputation he has at practice, and that kind of showed tonight. I skipped over Tahad Pettiford, and I shouldn't have, but I think that's kind of what most people are saying. Oh, you forgot Tahad because he's not doing what everybody expected him to do, except he's doing everything else that a leader, that a guy should be. 6 points tonight for him. And let me park it here for a second. So here's his stat line for Tahad Pettiford. 6 points, 2 for 9 from the field, 0 for 5 from the 3-point arc. He makes all his free throws, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, and 1 personal foul in 22 minutes of play. So when you look at this thing, you're like, okay, it's not the best stat line in the world. But what we're missing in the stats is the stories of that and how he's distributing it to others, setting other people up, playing great defense. And I think this is a great point, but I think it was Dane Bradshaw on the broadcast tonight talked about how he is celebrating others even while he is having a bit of a slump right now as far as shooting is. And so I think Tahad Pettiford has a lot of expectations on them, and a lot of those for fans is around the idea of scoring, and that will come with time. But right now he is meeting those expectations, just not ways and the things that fans typically value sometimes. But yeah, listen, I'm hoping we'll see more of what we saw of Tahad in the last game in the big moments. Didn't necessarily have to have it tonight, but that is his stat line this evening. Trying to think if there's any other. Blake Musalik, we've already talked about a little bit. Jovic. Abdul Bashir is also another interesting one here with 13 minutes of play. He has no points tonight. He's also just a bit in a slump, it seems like, given his reputation for scoring and shooting coming in out of junior college. So the question begs itself, what happens when Tahad Pettiford, scoring-wise, gets going more consistently? What happens when Abdul Bashir, with what minutes he's playing, comes in and starts lighting it up? I don't think this offense is going to have too many troubles this season finding ways to score, and we're only just scratching the surface of it right now. This is from WT. Pettiford shows incredible maturity in how he behaves, total team player. I think he recognizes the role that he's been given and the chance he has this season to do some big things for himself and the team. And you can do that in a variety of ways, not just with scoring. Some fielder's choice. Hod has a slump right now, heated up when it really matters, and that's what you got to have. Your leaders step up in the big moments, and he did in the Houston game. This is from Kayak. He says Murphy, player of the game, due to him being where he needed to be at all times. Kind of goes back to people doing exactly what you expect of them to do in this game, and the team doing exactly what you expect of them in this game. Okay, so that is your individual stats this evening. If we missed something, a moment, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we did miss something. How about that? Because there was a lot to talk about, and Simon Walker added a lot at the end there. So bring it up throughout the chat. We're going to go through our team stats here in just a second. I want to remind you of our sponsor for this particular broadcast, podcast, whichever format you're getting, the live show, the replay video, or just the audio portion of it. Make sure you check out barnersupply.com. You see me wearing one of their gears right now. If you're watching the classic Barn A, Matt loves to experiment with different designs, logos, brands, his own brand, and not just hats, not just shirts, not just apparel. Got stickers, decals. One of the funny things we do on Auburn Family Night is I try to slap this thing on, this Velcro patch onto me, and see if it sticks to show that I'm bought and paid for. There we go. I'm bought and paid for by Bonner Supply. This evening, it worked. Check them out, barnsupply.com. We'd love for you to support them. They're a great Auburn company, not just this holiday season, but all times. Barn out, barn hard, and get something for that special Barner that you have in your family. Okay, team stats. As I lost my Velcro patch because I was moving around too much. It actually is a good Velcro patch. It's just my material this evening. So let's look at the big three. Y'all know where we're going, right? Say it with me. Free throws, rebounds, turnovers. Now, I put you guys, for those of you that follow us on X, a little bit of a preview of this in the first half when we looked at it. Tied in terms of free throw percentage, which wasn't good. Auburn was winning the other two categories, but you thought that the rebounds would be a little bit more of a discrepancy there, or I guess a differential there, based off of how the game was going at that point, a 31-point lead at that. By the way, here's your scoring. 55-24 in the first half, 57-42 in the second half, resulting in that 112-66 game. Your big three stats tonight, here they are. The free throws, 74% for Jacksonville State, 79% for Auburn. So a few less tonight. They actually, both teams shoot the same amount in terms of attempts. Just one more for Auburn, right at that 80% mark. I will take it. Given some of our struggles at times this year, I will take it. My high water mark is always 80, but 79% I will take. Turnovers tonight, only 9 for Auburn, 22 for Jacksonville State. That right there may be the stat of the game. We'll look further before we make our decision on that. But a little bit higher for Auburn than you'd like. But when you're playing more players, everybody's a little bit loose, a little bit free. You're going to see more. But 22 for Jacksonville State is a credit to Auburn's defense. But wow, they were not careful with the ball whatsoever. And finally, rebounds, 28-30. Very interesting. A lot closer than it even was at the halftime. So in your big three stats, Auburn wins all of them. Big discrepancy in turnovers, which you would expect. Only a small discrepancy in rebounds, and then a small discrepancy in free throws as well. Auburn gets them all and kind of tells you how they were able to win this so handily, but there's much more that tells the tale of the tape in this one. WT says JSU was really bad at ball handling. That helped us a lot. I think there's a little bit of this at play too when you have these opponents that come in that on paper are severely overmatched on the road into Neville Arena. There's a bit of I want to kind of try to do too much, and I think that times you saw that. One of the storylines we haven't talked about yet is that Mo Williams is their head coach, former Alabama basketball player. And if that stat was correct, I think Taylor Korn on X put it out. She said that Mo Williams was 2-2 all time versus Auburn, but 0-2 versus Auburn playing them in Auburn. So now Mo Williams is 0-3, even as a head coach, which is really interesting to think about there. But their ball handling was a little bit off, definitely. But I think also you got to credit Auburn's defense, which is what Pearl coach teams, no matter who they are typically known for. Here's the rest of your team stats. Field goal percentage, pretty dang good for everybody, but my goodness, look at Auburn. 65% from the field, 42 out of 65 shots. Auburn made 65%. That is outstanding. Now, let's recognize, again, the emotions of this are great. The celebration of this is great, but the context is important. A lot of this is really helpful because of Simon Walker coming in, just knocking down 5 3-pointers in a row, and others as well, too. So that really helps it out. So in reality, you're probably looking somewhere in the mid to low 50s, I would bet. But we'll take it. 65% tonight. You shoot like that, you're going to win your basketball games, probably all of them. 3-pointers tonight, 33% for Jacksonville State, 41 for Auburn. Makes sense there, especially with the Simon Walker flurry. Skipping down a little bit, points off of turnovers, 12 for Jacksonville State, 39 for Auburn. That actually might be your stat. We're finding a lot of good candidates for stats of the game. Second chance points, dead even. Bench points tonight. Oh my. I'm a little bit taken aback by what I'm seeing with these last two things here. I emphasize the big three for a reason, because in the games that you're really focused on, those ones will usually tell you to tell the tape. But listen to these last two. Bench points, 18 for Jackson State. I keep saying Jacksonville State. Jackson State. 52 for Auburn. Let's take a look at that. 18 from Jovic, Simon Walker, 15. And then you've got Magwood scoring, CJ Williams, Meko Porum, Musalik. It makes a lot of sense, right? 52 bench points. Points in the paint. Here's the other one. 30 for Jackson State, 56 for Auburn. Let me add a third one in there. These are all back-to-back on what I'm reading right now. Fast break points, 11 for 27. Couple that with the points off of turn. You just take your pick. In fact, if there's anybody in the chat, I'm going to read them to you again. Which one do you think is the one that tells the tape tonight, or the most important one out of all of those? Points off of turnovers, 12 to 39. All these are in Auburn's favor, by the way, in case it was not clear. Bench points, 18 for 52. Points in the paint, 30 for 56. And then fast break points, 11 for 27. And we haven't even got to one more yet. Hold on. Let me just go down there. Assist, 6 for 28. 28 assist. 22 assist differential there. That's wild, man. That's wild. Just to kind of get the rest of it in here. Auburn wins blocks by a few, and then does pretty bad damage steals wise, 6-16. They were only tied twice. And for 2 minutes, 2 lead changes, 18 seconds of lead time for Jacksonville State when they had that early 3, and then it was all Auburn the rest of the way. Some comments that bench points is the big one, and I'd probably agree with that one. It's just 52 to 18 is ridiculous. But you could have picked shooting percentage tonight. You could have picked the points in the paint. You could have picked assists tonight, and all of it would have been correct as the most important stat of the game. Every one of them would have been correct. So no matter what you think here, it's not incorrect at this point. My good friend Austin Scott, and our co-host for the show, has arrived. I figured he'd be very excited about all of the things that he was seeing always good to see you in the live chat, buddy. Okay, man. This is a good one, folks, and didn't expect to be saying that after kind of a boring into it, but it had like a boring midsection of it. But wow, it got interesting there with Simon Walker at the end. All right, if there's anything that we've missed, please do drop it in the chat. We want to get some more commentary from you if we've missed anything tonight, anything that you'd like to bring up. I tried to kind of keep a look at some of the things you guys were saying in the chat. We may bring some of that up if we haven't covered any bit of it, but put that in the chat right now if you'd like to do so. Reminders for you about exciting content that we have this week. First of all, some housekeeping. As you guys know, we didn't do Auburn Family Night tonight because of the conflicts with basketball. Whenever that does happen, basketball will win out. Just kind of prepare yourself for that. Tomorrow night, we typically do a preview and prediction show. I am sad to report to you that we are not going to do that one. Just kind of made the decision, given that we won't be able to do next week on Thanksgiving Eve, Thanksgiving Day, actually, in evening. And let's just be honest, y'all aren't going to be that excited about the Mercer one. We're just going to kind of put that one to bed for the season. So no preview and prediction show tomorrow, but you guys, thank you that all attended it this year. And we'll talk about bringing that back if needed next year when we come back around to next season. Rest of your content, we're going to be on campus. So follow us for Tiger Walk live stream. We'll have video, photo content throughout the day for Auburn versus Mercer. It's going to be a fun one. First time for DJ Durkin being an interim head coach at Auburn. So it'll be exciting there. Lots more to get excited about. So follow us wherever you can get the content. We'll be back Sunday night with the Auburn Experience, Austin and myself. All right. Final commentary from you all. Still lots of credit and kudos being pouring in for Mr. Walker. Everybody's excited about that. And yeah, it'll be, fun to see if he can do that the rest of the season. I don't know that we'll get that from him ever again. Kind of felt like the perfect storm for all of that, but potentially, how about this? He showed he's got the ability to shoot the ball. This is from Fielder's Choice. He says, didn't care for Ruffin at Ole Miss. And as you mentioned, Mo Williams being a Bammer, glad to send him home with the big L. Yeah, they talked about Ruffin a lot, and apparently how he was, thought he was going to come to Auburn for a little bit there. So I think it was nice for, a little bit of payback in a lot of different ways, even though Mo Williams hasn't had a lot of success at Auburn at all. It's nice to continue to do that. This is from Fielder's Choice as well. Bashir apparently has been dealing with some injuries, might be part of his offensive struggles. When someone goes through, especially a shooter, which Bashir would fall into that category too, it's a variety of things. It is, you can be in a slump. You can have injuries that can be affecting it. You can, have just you got the yips, whatever. Even if you've got injuries too, sometimes it takes a minute just to mentally kind of come back around to your normal self too. So I have full faith that we'll see him at some point down the line. That's why I posed the question. With what everybody else is showing that they're capable of against this type of talent, against the good talent, because let's keep this in context here. You've got Auburn playing Houston, the number one team to 1 point and having a shot to win at the end. Then you've got this game against a team that you should be doing what you're doing and taking care of business the way you're supposed to. You put those two things together, Auburn is exactly who they are and say they should be when we're just talking about those two games right there. So exciting things for you guys this evening. All right, let's round out our conversation here. Again, the reminder for you, 66 to 112 or 112 to 66, however you want to say it. No matter which way you put it, it just sounds bad for Jackson State this evening. Auburn just lays into them, the second of the SWAC that Auburn has faced this season. Your player of the game, you take your choice or pick your poison. People are going to say Simon Walker, and they're not wrong. You could say Keyshawn Murphy as the leading scorer. I was most impressed by Elijah Freeman's stat line tonight. We already talked about that in the individual stats if you missed that. So I'll give that to him for me personally. And then again, in trying to find the stat that tells you to tell the tape, pick your poison. It could be any one of them. Field goal percentage. It could be points off of turnovers. It could be bench points. It could be points in the paint, fast break points, assist. I'm going to lean bench points tonight, 52 to 18. It's hard to argue with that when you got what happened off the bench and your starters doing well. Auburn looked like a complete team tonight. How nice is that? The Auburn Tigers are victorious. And moving on to an even more challenging part of their season coming up very soon. Thank you all for staying up with us. Those of you that were live, thank you for tuning in. For those that are catching the replay, audio or visual, as always, we want to thank our partner and sponsor for this broadcast, Barner Supply, for helping make it possible. Visit them at barnersupply.com. Links in our description on your post that you're watching on social media. If you ever need a link from us for them, hit us up in our direct messages or email e2cnetwork@gmail.com. As we leave you, I want to remind you of these few things the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.